By the time the sun rose over the Gulf, the United States had already pulled off one of the most audacious air campaigns since the 2003 Iraq War. Stealth B-2 bombers flew undetected across thousands of miles to strike deep into Iran's nuclear heartland, Fordow, Natanz, Isfahan. Bombs weighing 30,000 pounds cracked open mountains and silos, shattering centrifuges buried under layers of rock and concrete. It was a military feat and a geopolitical thunderclap. And now, the world is seeing Iran's answer. The Islamic Republic launched a retaliatory missile attack on Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East. Missiles were also fired toward Iraq. There were no casualties. Qatar had been warned in advance. The U.S. intercepted the projectiles. But the message was unmistakable. Iran either intends to escalate or at least wants to appear that way to save face. Yet, instead of rallying the region, Iran's response has isolated it. From Riyadh to Muscat, Arab capitals are condemning Tehran in unison. Saudi Arabia called the strike a flagrant violation of international law. The UAE warned the region was being dragged down dangerous paths. Even Jordan and Bahrain, which often tread carefully, joined in. Let that sink in. Arab states are siding with Washington, even after U.S. warplanes pounded Iranian soil. According to multiple Arab sources, Iran notified Qatar ahead of its missile attack. The U.S. also knew in advance, and the base was evacuated accordingly. This warning was likely an attempt to avoid American casualties, and by extension, to prevent a catastrophic counterstrike. But let's be honest, a missile attack is a missile attack. Firing projectiles at sovereign territory, even with a courtesy heads-up, is still aggression. It is a desperate attempt to save face in a war Tehran never wanted and cannot win. It reveals the Iranian regime's contradictions. For decades, it has called the U.S. the Great Satan. Now it's trying to thread the needle between appearing strong at home and avoiding a full-blown war abroad. That's not strategy, that's panic. As missiles flew, President Trump took to Truth Social. He criticized the media for downplaying the impact of the U.S. strikes, declaring, "The sites that we hit in Iran were totally destroyed, and everyone knows it. Only the fake news would say anything different." He's not wrong. The IAEA chief himself admitted that the Fordow site suffered very significant damage. That's diplomatic code for they wrecked the place. Photos released by satellite firms confirm widespread devastation. Follow-up strikes by Israel on entry points to Fordow and even on regime symbols like prisons send a clear message. The West isn't just targeting Iran's nukes. It's targeting the illusion of the regime's invincibility. And through all this, Trump hasn't blinked. He hasn't backtracked. He hasn't apologized. He hasn't ruled out support for a leadership change in Tehran. That's leadership, the kind the region respects and the mullahs fear. Despite the tough talk, Iran's options are shrinking. Its nuclear program is crippled. Its allies in the region, Hamas, Hezbollah, are reeling. Its traditional backers are hedging. Russia's Putin, while condemning the U.S. strikes, stopped short of offering real support. Moscow knows a losing hand when it sees one. Global markets are jittery. Tankers are diverting from the Strait of Hormuz, but oil remains flowing, for now. Let's not forget, none of this would be happening if Iran had taken the deal. Trump offered them a path out, a tough one, yes, but one that avoided war. Instead, Tehran doubled down on enrichment, backed terrorist proxies, and threatened Israel. Now they're reaping the whirlwind. What happens next depends on how far the regime is willing to go. Will it escalate with more missile strikes, cyber attacks, maritime harassment? Maybe, but the bigger question is this. Will it survive a two-front pressure campaign from the US and Israel? Right now, the regime looks fragile. That's not opinion. It's visible in the cracks forming across its military, economy, and street legitimacy. And as the world watches this clash unfold, one thing is clear. Strategic patience is over. Strategic deterrence is back.